Mule in Foundation Season 3. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Was Bayta the sibling in the story? One of the biggest theories that's been present since we saw the origin story of the Mule during episode 7 was that the sibling that was given away at the end of it by the Mule was in fact Magnifico, and that's why there was a close bond between the both of them and why Magnifico was able to wield powers with the Visisona. Because they shared the same DNA, so one would imagine that Magnifico would have the powers. However, that was a theory that I was never truly on side with, because when looking at Magnifico in the present day timeline, he looks so much older than what the Mule does. So it wouldn't quite make sense for it to be Magnifico. A theory that emerged following the release of episode 8 though is that Bayta could have been that sibling that was given away by the Mule during the ending. Seldon did say to the Mule that he knew that he wasn't telling the truth in the story, and that once it was found out, it would be of use to him. So I wonder if the sibling was masked as being a boy. Something subtle, but you never know. The background of the character Bayta in the show is something that isn't really that well documented. All we know is that she was born on one of the Foundation's jump past planets, and that she decided to improve her life because she didn't come from a well-off background and she had a desire to be rich. Now, this does bear a similar resemblance to the likes of the Mule story, a planet on the outer reach under the Foundation's rule and not having the means to be able to live a well-off life, eventually escaping to travel the galaxy with pirates. We know that Bayta fell in love with Tauren and decided to settle, and it was with him that they both essentially became famous whilst earning the love from those that gazed upon them. With that came the riches, attention, and the change of their lives. So what I find particularly interesting is that this is the very thing that the Mule has been searching for, but in a completely different way. A way that brought about destruction. The Mule looked for love because he never had that love when he was growing up, and his parents were prepared to kill him if it meant that his younger sibling was able to survive. So I find it coincidental that Bayta, somebody who came from a similar background, went on to search for that very thing as well. Maybe feeling a sense of abandonment due to being left with the neighbors. Or could it be that she's able to use that same ability as the Mule to get people to be so infatuated with her and like her so that she gets the attention that she maybe feels like she was deprived of when she was younger? So the similar backgrounds and the desire to be loved is something that could point towards them being similar and actually being relatives. Another thing that makes me think that Bayta could be that sibling is based on what we saw in episode 8. First off, it was mentioned that Bayta was being kept alive because the Mule wanted something from her. But secondly, it came when the Mule entered the room and started pressing down on the wounds of Brother Dawn, which was causing him to be in pain. The Mule essentially ignored Bayta for the most part, and he only really acknowledged her when she said, "I think you should leave now." Once she said that, he stopped what he was doing, agreed with her, and then basically just walked on out, showing a type of behavior that he's never really exhibited before, one where he actually listened to somebody else. Could this be because she also has the same ability as what he does, and she was able to control the Mule's mind on some kind of micro level, getting him to stop causing Dawn pain and to just walk on out the door? It was a strange encounter, and one that was clearly included for a reason, so it does make me question that connection even more. If Bayta is connected to the Mule in this way, personally, I don't think that the Mule is fully aware that they're related in the slightest, because there's been no acknowledgement of it at all. And I feel he would have said by now if he knew, unless he does know, and that's the secret that Hari Seldon was talking about. Is Bayta actually the Mule? Another theory that's been going around is based on the fact that Bayta could actually be the Mule, and that this has all been a part of her wider plan. When thinking back to Bayta's inclusion in this show, all of the spots that the Mule has taken, Bayta has been present there. She was on Calgon during the occupation of it by the Mule, and she was just relaxing, and she was also on New Terminus when that fell too, albeit she was in an unconscious state due to the null field. Everything that I basically said in the previous section about Bayta being connected to the Mule is also applicable in her actually being the Mule. That burning desire to be loved and the ability to make people love her is the very thing that's paramount, as that was ever present in the Mule that we've been introduced to. I still can't help but to think back when the Mule awoke in episode 6, and he basically said, "For years I felt like I was wearing someone else's dreams." If this isn't the Mule that we know, quite literally saying to us that he isn't in control of his thoughts and that he's a prisoner inside of his own mind, then I don't know what is. Whilst it was originally presumed to be Magnifico, with the recent discoveries around Bayta, it's looking like it could well be her. Bayta isn't the Mule. Now, whilst Bayta could well be the Mule or be related to the Mule, there is still a chance that she might not be. However, this theory ties back into it being Magnifico. Throughout this season, we've seen Bayta show a sense of kindness towards Magnifico, a kindness that didn't need to be bought, and a kindness that simply came from her heart because she was a good person. And it could be this willingness to just be a kind person that could be the very thing that's keeping her alive. What I found interesting was that Bayta referred to Magnifico as her puppy at one point, and Inber referred to him as their pet. But I actually wonder if it's the other way round, and Bayta is the pet of Magnifico. He seemingly loves the attention. If Magnifico is actually the Mule and he's using the Mule that we know to conceal his identity and keep him safe, as after all, we've not seen him for 2 whole episodes now, Magnifico could well have put it in the Mule's mind that she shouldn't be harmed because of the kindness that she's given him. So that could be why she's in a bed getting back to full health whilst orbiting around the edge of New Terminus, away from the danger. The Mule that we know has no reason to be kind to Bayta. After all, she was the person that took Magnifico away from him, so it's strange that he didn't even ask her where he was or act annoyed with her in any way, and just simply listen to her when she asked him to leave. So that obedience could be something that the Mule has instilled within him due to Magnifico actually being the puppet master and the one that's in control. Again, it's another far-fetched theory, but that's the beauty of this show and what the whole point of theorizing is, right? It could be any of them. Now, as you can see, there are a few different options when it comes to Bayta in these final 2 episodes. Personally, I kinda like the idea of her being the Mule's sister and that she was the one that he left on the Barton's doorstep all of those years ago. It's wishful thinking, but the show does love a twist. That obviously isn't the case in the novel, but with the way that this show has been delivering this season, I could imagine it going rogue and giving us an even larger twist when it comes to any kind of connection or background to the Mule. So, there you have it. Is Bayta connected to the Mule in Foundation Season 3? If you want to see every episode of Foundation Season 3 being broken down, then check the playlist below. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future videos. Do you think Bayta is connected to the Mule? Share your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video and I'll see you in the next one.